The rain lashed Ashwood, a small suburban town in the Pacific Northwest, cloaking its streets in a gray haze. Sarah Coleman stood at the living room window of their old craftsman house, her fingers gripping the sill, her breath clouding the glass. The storm's relentless drum felt personal, as if it carried the weight of 22 years without answers. At 47, Sarah's face held the quiet scars of loss. Her husband, Michael, gone since 2003, vanished after a wrong turn driving home. The police had found nothing, leaving her to raise their adopted daughter, Amelia, in a house that seemed to whisper his absence. Amelia, now 24, was upstairs, her pencil scratching faintly through the ceiling. Her hazel eyes and sharp curiosity masked a restlessness Sarah couldn't soothe. The house, with its creaking floors and shadowed corners, felt heavier tonight, as if it knew what Sarah had learned. Hours earlier, a news report had shaken her. A fisherman found Michael's car in Blackthorn Lake, 30 miles away, rusted and empty. No body, no clues, just a ghost from the past, dredged up from the depths. Sarah clutched a cold coffee mug, her heart racing. The police had called, their voices detached, promising to investigate. But why now? She hadn't told Amelia, unsure how to explain a discovery that deepened the mystery. The doorbell pierced the silence, sharp and startling. Through the peephole, a rain-soaked delivery man held a manila envelope. No return address, just Sarah's name in uneven, blocky script. She signed for it, her hands trembling, and tore it open. Inside was a single letter, its paper yellowed, edges brittle, to the woman who raised my daughter. Sarah's breath caught. Amelia's birth mother? They'd adopted Amelia in 21, a 2-year-old abandoned at a hospital, no records, no family. The agency offered no answers, and Sarah had buried her questions. Now they surged, sharp and painful. She sank onto the couch, the letter shaking in her hands. The words were urgent, sparse. I didn't want to leave her. Michael knew the truth. The lake holds it. She's tied to the house. Watch the mark. Sarah's heart stuttered. Michael. How could he be linked to Amelia's birth mother? And the mark, Amelia's star-shaped birthmark on her wrist, always thought to be harmless, now felt ominous. The house creaked, the rain louder, as if echoing the letter's warning. Mom? Amelia's voice cut through, soft but piercing. She stood at the stairs, sketchbook under her arm, her dark hair loose, eyes wary. You okay? You look spooked. Sarah folded the letter, hiding it in her palm. Just the storm, she lied, but Amelia's gaze sharpened, catching the deception. She'd always been too perceptive, sensing what Sarah tried to shield. What's in your hand? Amelia asked, stepping closer, her tone casual but probing. Sarah hesitated, her instinct to protect clashing with the truth. A letter, she said finally. From your birth mother. About you. Amelia froze, her sketchbook slipping slightly. My birth mother. Her voice held disbelief, tinged with fear. Why now? I don't know, Sarah admitted, handing her the letter. It mentions your dad, and a mark. Amelia's hand went to her wrist, where the star-shaped mark hid beneath her sleeve. She unfolded the letter, her eyes scanning the words. The lights flickered, a low hum rising, not the storm, but something deeper, vibrating through the walls. Sarah felt it in her chest, a pulse that wasn't hers. The lake holds it, Amelia read, her voice trembling. She's tied to it. What does that mean? Her eyes met Sarah's, searching, haunted. And Michael? How did she know him? Sarah shook her head, her mind reeling. The house groaned, louder now, and the air grew thick, heavy with the scent of damp wood and something else. Smoke, though no fire burned. Amelia's sketchbook fell open, revealing a drawing, a car submerged in dark water, a star glowing on its hood. Sarah's blood ran cold. When did you draw this? She whispered. Last month, Amelia said, her face pale. It was a dream. I didn't know why. The hum surged, the lights flickering longer. The letter slipped from Amelia's hands, fluttering to the floor. Outside, The rain seemed to pause, and a shadow moved across the window. Not a branch, but a figure, its eyes glinting like stars in the dark, watching them. Amelia's heart pounded as she stared at the window, the shadow's star-like eyes burning into her. The hum pulsed through the house, a living thing that seemed to know her, to call her. Sarah grabbed her arm, her touch grounding but frantic. "Amelia, get away from the window," she hissed, her voice sharp with fear. The letter lay on the floor, its words. Michael knew the truth. "The lake holds it," searing into Amelia's mind. Her wrist throbbed, the star-shaped mark warm beneath her sleeve, as if it were waking up. "Mom, you saw that, right?" Amelia whispered, her eyes locked on the now empty window. The shadow was gone, but its presence lingered heavy in the air. Her sketchbook lay open, the drawing of the submerged car too precise, too real, to be a coincidence. She'd drawn it weeks ago, before the news about Michael's car, before the letter. How had she known? Sarah nodded, her face pale, her hands trembling as she picked up the letter. "We need to leave," she said, her voice unsteady. "This house, it's not safe." She moved toward the door, but Amelia hesitated, her feet rooted to the floor. The hum grew louder, a chorus of whispers now, weaving her name. "Amelia, the mark calls." "I can't," Amelia said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her chest. "The letter, my drawing, this mark, it's all connected. We need to know what it means." She touched her wrist, the star mark pulsing, and a flash came unbidden. A man's voice, Michael's, whispering, "Keep her safe." Not a memory, but a feeling, like a fragment of someone else's life. Sarah's eyes softened, torn between fear and love. "Okay," she said finally, clutching the letter. "But we stay together." She crossed to the kitchen, grabbing a flashlight from a drawer. Its beam cut through the dim room, illuminating the letter's yellowed edges and Amelia's sketchbook, open to the car and the lake. Amelia followed, her mind racing. The house had always felt off. Cold spots, creaks that sounded like footsteps, the way the basement door sometimes rattled. She'd dismissed it as imagination. But now, with the letter and the shadow, it felt alive, watching. She flipped through her sketchbook, finding another drawing. The house, its windows glowing, a star etched into the porch. "I drew this last week," she said, showing Sarah. "Before the letter." Sarah's breath hitched, her eyes scanning the sketch. "That's our porch," she whispered. "But that star, I've never seen it." She moved to the front door, shining the flashlight outside. The rain had eased, but the porch glistened, and there, carved into the wood, was a faint star, its edges worn but unmistakable. Amelia's mark burned, and another flash came. A woman, not Sarah. Holding her wrist, her voice urgent. "The star binds you." The vision faded, leaving Amelia gasping. "Mom, I saw her, my birth mother. She was talking about the mark." Sarah's face crumpled, but she nodded, her hand on Amelia's shoulder. "We'll figure it out," she said, but her voice wavered. She opened the letter again, scanning the lines. "It says the lake holds the truth, and Michael knew. How?" The hum surged, the lights flickering out completely. The flashlight beam wavered, casting shadows that moved when they shouldn't. Amelia's mark glowed faintly through her sleeve, and the whispers grew clearer. The lake, the star. Sarah grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the door, but the basement steps creaked, slow and deliberate, as if someone, or something, was climbing up. Sarah's grip on Amelia's hand tightened as the creak from the basement grew louder, each step deliberate, echoing like a heartbeat in the darkened house. The flashlight beam trembled in her other hand, casting jagged shadows on the walls, where faint star-shaped scratches glimmered, barely visible. The hum pulsed through the floor, a low vibration that seemed to know them, to call them. Amelia's star-shaped mark glowed faintly through her sleeve, its heat radiating, and Sarah's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination to protect her daughter. "Mom, it's coming from down there," Amelia whispered, her voice steady but laced with dread. Her sketchbook was tucked under her arm, the drawing of the submerged car haunting her mind. The letter's words. Michael knew the truth. The lake holds it, burned in her memory, and the shadow's star-like eyes outside felt like a warning she couldn't ignore. Sarah shook her head, her voice sharp. "We're not going down there." She pulled Amelia toward the front door, her instincts screaming to flee, but the hum grew louder, the whispers clearer. The star. The truth. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of smoke, though no fire burned. The house felt alive, its walls watching, waiting. Amelia resisted, her feet planted. "We can't just run," she said, her hazel eyes fierce. "The letter said I'm tied to this house. And Dad, he knew something." She touched her wrist, the star mark burning, and a flash came. A man's hands, Michael's, steering a car through rain, a star glowing on the dashboard. The vision faded, leaving her breathless. "I saw him, Mom. Driving. Something was wrong." Sarah's face paled, but she nodded, her resolve wavering. "Okay, but we stay together." She led the way to the basement door, its wood warped, the handle cold as ice. The hum was louder here, a chorus of voices weaving through the air. Sarah opened the door, the hinges groaning, revealing a staircase descending into darkness. The flashlight beam cut through the gloom, illuminating cobwebs and dusty boxes. The air was damp, thick with the smell of earth and smoke. Sarah's heart raced. She'd avoided the basement for years, its cold unsettling her. Now it felt like a trap. Amelia followed, her mark glowing brighter, casting star-shaped shadows on the walls. At the bottom, the beam fell on a concrete floor, cracked and uneven. In the center was a star, etched deep, its edges stained dark, as if with blood. Amelia gasped, her sketchbook slipping to the floor, open to a drawing of the same star. "I drew this," she whispered, her voice shaking. "How did I know?" Sarah knelt, her fingers hovering over the etching. "This wasn't here before," she said, her voice barely audible. The hum surged, and a whisper came, not from the air but from within. "The lake calls." Sarah's blood ran cold. She grabbed Amelia's arm, but before she could speak, the flashlight flickered, and a shadow moved in the corner. Not human, but something fluid, with star-like eyes. Amelia's breath hitched as the shadow's star-like eyes gleamed from the basement's corner, its form shifting like smoke. The star mark on her wrist burned, a searing pulse that felt like a summons, pulling her toward the etched symbol on the floor. Sarah's grip was iron, anchoring her, but the hum filled her head, whispering, "Amelia, the star knows." Her sketchbook lay open, the drawing of the star matching the one beneath them, its lines too precise to be chance. "Mom, it's here," Amelia said, her voice trembling. She wanted to run, but the mark's heat held her as if it were part of the house, part of her. The vision flashed again. Michael, driving through rain, his face tense, a star glowing on the dashboard. A woman's voice, not Sarah's, whispered, "Protect her." The memory wasn't hers, yet it felt like hers, a fragment of a life she hadn't lived. Sarah swung the flashlight, its beam catching the shadow. It dissolved, leaving only the hum and the star on the floor, now glowing faintly, like Amelia's mark. "We're leaving," Sarah said, her voice sharp but cracking. She pulled Amelia toward the stairs, but the air grew heavy, the smell of smoke stronger. The house groaned, as if resisting their escape. Amelia grabbed her sketchbook, her fingers brushing the star drawing. "Wait," she said, kneeling by the etched symbol. "There's something here." Her nails caught a loose edge of concrete, and it lifted, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a small, tarnished locket, its surface engraved with a star. She opened it, revealing a faded photo, a woman, her face like Amelia's, holding a toddler with a star-shaped mark. Sarah's breath caught. "Is that your birth mother?" Her voice was a whisper, her eyes fixed on the locket. The letter's words echoed in her mind. Michael knew the truth. Had he known this woman? How? Amelia's mark burned, and another vision came. The woman, her birth mother, in this basement, carving the star into the floor, her hands bloodied, chanting words Amelia didn't understand. The vision faded, and she gasped, clutching the locket. She was here, Amelia said. She did something to protect me. Sarah's face crumpled, but she nodded. We need to get out, she said, pulling Amelia up. But as they reached the stairs, the hum surged and the locket glowed, its star pulsing in time with Amelia's mark. The shadow reappeared, closer now, its eyes locked on Amelia. The whispers grew louder. The lake, the truth. The basement door slammed shut above them, the sound echoing like a warning. Sarah pounded on it, but it wouldn't budge. Amelia's mark flared and the shadow spoke, its voice a hiss. She's ours. Sarah's fists ached as she pounded on the basement door, the wood unyielding, the hum vibrating through her bones. The shadow's words, she's ours, hung in the air, cold and final as its star-like eyes glowed from the corner. Amelia stood frozen, the locket in her hand pulsing with the same light as her star-shaped mark, its heat searing her wrist. The air was thick with smoke, though no fire burned, and the house felt alive, its walls closing in, whispering secrets Sarah couldn't grasp. Amelia, stay with me, Sarah said, her voice sharp with panic. She grabbed the flashlight, its beam weak but steady, and swung it toward the shadow. It flickered, retreating, but its eyes lingered, watching. The locket's glow illuminated Amelia's face, her hazel eyes wide with fear and something else, recognition, as if the house were speaking to her. Amelia clutched the locket, her mark burning. Mom, this is hers, she said, her voice trembling. My birth mother. She was here, in this basement. The vision replayed, the woman carving the star, her hands bloodied, her voice chanting, keep her hidden. Amelia's heart raced. She was trying to protect me from them. Sarah's throat tightened. The letter mentioned Michael, the lake, the mark. Now this locket, tying Amelia to a woman they'd never known. What does it mean? She asked, her voice breaking. She reached for Amelia, but the hum surged, and the locket's glow intensified, casting star-shaped shadows on the walls. Amelia opened the locket again, her fingers trembling. Inside, beneath the photo, was a folded scrap of paper, its edges brittle. She unfolded it, revealing a map, hand-drawn, crude, showing Blackthorn Lake with a star marked on its shore. Words were scrawled beside it. The truth is buried. Michael found it. Amelia's breath caught. Dad was there, she whispered. At the lake. Sarah's heart lurched. Michael, her Michael, tangled in this mystery. She grabbed the map, her hands shaking. We need to get out, she said, but the door remained shut, the hum louder now, a chorus of voices chanting. The star, the lake. The shadow moved closer, its form solidifying. A cloaked figure with star-like eyes that seemed to see through Amelia. Amelia's mark flared, and another vision hit. Michael, at the lake's edge, digging in the rain, unearthing a box with a star carved into it. A woman's voice, her birth mother's, whispered. They're coming. The vision faded, and Amelia stumbled, Sarah catching her. He found something, Amelia gasped. At the lake. That's why he disappeared. The shadow lunged, its eyes blazing, and the locket's glow surged, pushing it back. The basement shook, dust falling from the ceiling, and a crack split the star on the floor, revealing a faint light beneath. The whispers grew urgent. Find it, before they do. Amelia's knees buckled as the basement shook, the crack in the star-shaped etching widening, its faint light pulsing in time with her mark. The locket in her hand burned, its glow holding the shadow at bay, but its star-like eyes never wavered, fixed on her with a hunger that chilled her blood. Sarah's arm was around her, steadying her, but the hum filled the air, a relentless chant. The star, the lake. Find it. The map in Sarah's hand trembled, Blackthorn Lake's starred shore beacon in the chaos. Mom, we have to go to the lake, Amelia said, her voice hoarse but certain. The vision of Michael digging, the box with the star, felt like a memory she'd lived, though she'd been a toddler then. Whatever Dad found, it's what they want. She pointed to the shadow, its cloaked form flickering, as if straining against the locket's light. Sarah's face was pale, her eyes darting to the crack in the floor. "We're trapped," she said, her voice cracking. The door won't open. She pounded on it again, but the wood held fast, the house resisting. The smell of smoke grew stronger, and the whispers shifted, calling Amelia's name, not as a threat, but a summons. Amelia knelt by the crack, her mark burning. The light beneath was cold, unnatural, like starlight trapped in the earth. She reached down, her fingers brushing something metal, a key, small and rusted, engraved with a star. The moment she touched it, the hum stopped, and the shadow vanished, leaving only silence and the locket's fading glow. Sarah gasped, grabbing Amelia's shoulder. "What is that?" Her eyes were wide, fixed on the key, as if it were a piece of Michael himself. "It's for the lake," Amelia said, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. She clutched the key, its weight heavy with purpose. Another vision flashed. Her birth mother standing at Blackthorn Lake, burying the box Michael later found, her face tear-streaked, chanting, "The star hides her." Amelia's mark pulsed, and she knew the key unlocked whatever Michael had uncovered. Sarah took the map, her hands trembling. "If we get out, we're going to the lake," she said, her voice firm now. "But we need to move." She pulled Amelia toward the stairs, but the basement door creaked open, unprompted, revealing the darkened hallway above. They climbed, the house silent but heavy, as if watching. The locket and key glowed faintly in Amelia's hands, and the map in Sarah's seemed to hum, its star pulsing. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the air felt charged, and as they reached the front door, a figure stood on the porch, cloaked, its eyes glowing like stars, waiting. They climbed, the house silent but heavy, as if watching. The locket and key glowed faintly in Amelia's hands, and the map in Sarah's seemed to hum, its star pulsing. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the air felt charged, and as they reached the front door, a figure stood on the porch, cloaked, its eyes glowing like stars, waiting. Sarah froze at the front door, her hand on the knob, the figure's star-like eyes piercing through the glass. The locket and key in Amelia's hands glowed, their light casting star-shaped shadows on the walls, mirroring the mark on her wrist. The house was silent, the hum gone, but the air was thick, charged with the weight of the figure's presence. The map in Sarah's pocket felt alive, its starred shore pulling her toward Blackthorn Lake, toward Michael's truth. "Mom, don't open it," Amelia whispered, her voice trembling. The figure didn't move, its cloaked form unnaturally still, but its eyes seemed to see through her, into her, as if it knew the star on her wrist, the key in her hand. The vision of her birth mother, burying the box, chanting, lingered, and Amelia felt a pull. Sarah's heart raced, her grip tightening on the knob. "We need to get to the car," she said, her voice low but firm. "The lake. Whatever Michael found, it's our only chance." She glanced at Amelia, her eyes filled with love and fear. "Stay behind me." Amelia nodded, clutching the locket and key, her mark burning. She tucked the map into her pocket, its weight grounding her. The figure's eyes followed her, and a whisper came, not from the house but from within. "The star opens the way." Her breath caught. Was it her birth mother's voice or something else? Sarah opened the door, the cold air rushing in, carrying the scent of rain and earth. The figure stepped back, its cloak billowing, but it didn't advance. Its eyes locked on Amelia, and she felt the mark pulse, as if answering. Sarah pulled her toward the car, parked in the driveway, its windows fogged. The figure watched, unmoving, as they climbed inside. Sarah started the engine, the headlights cutting through the darkness. The figure was gone, but its eyes lingered in Amelia's mind, mirrored by her mark's glow. "The lake's 30 miles, Sarah said, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "We'll be there in an hour." Amelia opened the locket, staring at the photo of her birth mother, her face so like her own. "She knew this would happen," she said, her voice soft. She hid something at the lake. For me. The key in her hand felt warm, its star engraving glowing faintly. As they drove, the road blurred under the rain, and the hum returned, faint but persistent, weaving through the car. Amelia's mark flared, and a vision came. Michael, at the lake, opening the starred box, his face pale as shadows with star-like eyes surrounded him. A woman's voice screamed, "Run!" The vision faded, and Amelia gasped, her hand clutching Sarah's arm. The car swerved, and Sarah cursed, steadying the wheel. "What did you see?" she asked, her voice tight. "Dad," Amelia said, her voice breaking. "He found the box. They took him." Her mark burned, and the hum grew louder, chanting, "The star, the lake." Ahead, Blackthorn Lake loomed, its waters dark, and a single star glowed on its shore, waiting. Amelia's heart pounded as the car approached Blackthorn Lake, the star on her wrist, pulsing in time with the glowing mark on the shore, visible through the rain-streaked windshield. The locket and key in her hands glowed faintly, their star engravings mirroring the one on the map Sarah clutched. The hum filled the air, a chant that seemed to come from the lake itself. The star, the truth. Sarah's face was pale, her hands gripping the wheel, her eyes fixed on the dark water where Michael's car had been found. "We're here," Sarah said, her voice barely audible. She parked near the shore, the headlights illuminating a rocky beach, the star-shaped glow emanating from a spot in the sand. The figure from the porch was gone, but its presence lingered, a weight in the air. "Stay close," Sarah added, grabbing the flashlight from the glove compartment. Amelia nodded, her mark burning, the locket and key warm in her hands. The vision of Michael, opening the starred box, surrounded by shadows, haunted her. "The box is here," she said, her voice steady despite the fear in her chest. "It's what they want." She stepped out, the cold air biting, the lake's dark surface rippling unnaturally, as if alive. Sarah followed, the map trembling in her hands. The star on the shore glowed brighter, guiding them. They knelt, digging with their hands, the sand cold and wet. Amelia's mark flared, and another vision came. Her birth mother burying the box, her face tear-streaked, chanting, "The star hides her." A man, Michael, stood beside her, his eyes filled with fear and resolve. The vision faded, and Amelia gasped, her fingers brushing metal. They unearthed a small box, its surface carved with a star, rusted but intact. Amelia's mark pulsed, and the key in her hand glowed, fitting perfectly into the lock. Sarah's breath hitched. "Is that what he found?" she whispered, her voice breaking. Amelia turned the key, the box clicking open. Inside was a journal, its pages yellowed, filled with her birth mother's handwriting. The star binds Amelia to them. "I hid her, but the lake calls." Michael tried to stop them. Amelia's heart raced. "He was protecting me," she said, tears falling. The hum surged, and the lake rippled, star-like eyes emerging from the water, dozens of them circling the shore. Sarah grabbed Amelia, pulling her back, but the box glowed, and a voice, not her birth mother's, but colder, whispered, "The star is ours." Sarah's heart hammered as the star-like eyes rose from Blackthorn Lake, their glow encircling the shore where she and Amelia stood, the rusted box open in Amelia's hands. The journal inside, penned by Amelia's birth mother, pulsed with the same light as the star-shaped mark on Amelia's wrist, its words a haunting echo. "The star binds Amelia to them." The hum filled the air, a chant that seemed to rise from the water itself, calling Amelia's name. Sarah clutched the flashlight, its beam trembling, illuminating the box and the locket, both glowing with star engravings. "Amelia, get back!" Sarah shouted, pulling her daughter away from the shore. The eyes moved closer, their cloaked forms emerging from the water, fluid yet solid, their presence a weight that pressed against Sarah's chest. Amelia's mark flared, casting star-shaped shadows on the sand, and the journal's pages fluttered as if alive. Sarah's mind raced. Michael had found this box, had known its truth, and it had cost him everything. Amelia's voice was steady, though her hands shook. "Mom, the journal. It says I can stop them." She flipped to a page, her eyes scanning the frantic script. She wrote about a ritual, a way to close the door. The star is a key. Her mark burned brighter, and a vision flashed. Her birth mother standing on this shore, chanting, her blood dripping onto the box, sealing something away. Amelia gasped, the locket in her other hand glowing hotter. "She hid me from them." Sarah's throat tightened, tears blurring her vision. "Who are they?" she asked, her voice breaking. The figures closed in, their chant louder. "The star, the key." The lake rippled, its surface reflecting a constellation of stars that shouldn't be there, mirroring the mark on Amelia's wrist. Amelia knelt, placing the box on the shore, its star engraving pulsing. "The ritual," she said, her voice firm. "It's here at the lake." She opened the journal, reading aloud her birth mother's words. "The star binds, but it can also sever. Blood and will can close the door." Her mark flared, and she winced, but her eyes were fierce. "I have to do this." Sarah grabbed her arm, her voice desperate. "No, Amelia, we don't know what it means." But the figures were closer, their eyes burning, and the hum was deafening, a chorus of voices that seemed to know Amelia, to claim her. Sarah's heart ached. She'd lost Michael. She couldn't lose her daughter, too. Amelia's mark glowed brighter, and she began to chant, the words foreign yet familiar, pulled from the journal, from the vision. The lake trembled, the figures faltering, their forms flickering like dying stars. Sarah held her breath, her hand on Amelia's shoulder, grounding her. The box's glow intensified, and a crack appeared in the air, a door shimmering with starlight where the figures stood. The chant grew stronger, and the figures screamed, their eyes dimming. Amelia's mark burned, her voice unwavering, but the door pulsed, and a new voice joined the hum, not cold, but warm, desperate. "Amelia, finish it." Sarah gasped, recognizing it from nowhere but her heart. The figures lunged, and the door wavered, its light threatening to swallow them all. The air crackled as Amelia's chant rose, her voice steady despite the figures' screams, their star-like eyes dimming in the face of the box's glow. The door in the air pulsed, a shimmering tear of starlight, and Sarah clung to her daughter, her heart torn between fear and pride. The journal lay open on the sand, its pages fluttering, the words of Amelia's birth mother guiding her. "Blood and will can close the door." Amelia's mark burned, casting a constellation of shadows across Blackthorn Lake's shore, and the warm voice, "Amelia, finish it," echoed, not from the figures but from within. Sarah's breath caught, her eyes fixed on the door. The figures writhed, their forms dissolving, but the hum surged, a desperate cry. "The star is ours." She thought of Michael, digging here, finding the box, vanishing into this mystery. Had he heard this voice too? She squeezed Amelia's shoulder, her voice a whisper. "You're doing it, sweetheart. Keep going." Amelia's mark flared, her chant louder, the words flowing as if she'd always known them. The lake trembled, its surface reflecting a sky of impossible stars. The figures lunged, their hands reaching, but the locket in Amelia's hand glowed, pushing them back. A vision came, sharp and vivid. Her birth mother Clara, standing on the shore, her blood sealing the box, her voice chanting to hide Amelia from them. Michael was there, his eyes filled with love and fear, promising to protect the secret. The vision shifted, and Amelia saw herself, a toddler, her star mark glowing, Clara's hands trembling as she buried the box. "They can't have you," Clara whispered, her face like Amelia's, her eyes fierce. The vision faded, and Amelia's voice faltered, tears streaming down her face. "Mom!" she gasped, looking at Sarah. "It was her, Clara. She's here." Sarah nodded, tears falling. Her heart breaking for the woman she'd never known. Who'd tied Amelia to this fate? The door in the air shrank, The figure's screams fading, but one remained, its eyes human now, like Clara's. It reached out, not in threat but in sorrow, and whispered, "Forgive me." Amelia's chant peaked, the box star blazing, and the door collapsed, its light exploding outward. The figures vanished, the hum silenced, the lake still. Amelia collapsed, Sarah catching her, both sobbing. The box was dark now, its power spent, but the journal's last page fluttered open, revealing Clara's final words. "The star hides her, but the truth remains." Sarah held Amelia, the locket and key cold in her daughter's hands. The lake was quiet, but a shadow lingered on the shore. A woman, her face like Amelia's, her eyes soft, then gone. Sarah's heart ached. Was it Clara or something else? The star on Amelia's wrist was dim, but the mystery of Michael, the lake, and the figures lingered, unanswered, watching from the dark.